Welcome to Duel Talk with Brian Galloway and Henry Robb, sponsored by Duel Threads, your source for motivational apparel. Hey, what's up? This is Brian from Duel Threads, and this is the introduction to the Duel Talk podcast here. And in case you can't tell, I got a little nerves going, but alongside me we have Henry.
What's going on, Brian? I'm
not too much, man. How are you?
Good. I'm Henry Robb. I'm a friend of Brian's, and I am an avid weightlifter and kind of washed up athlete, I guess you could say. But I'm trying to get back into it. So just been friends for a while and decided to pick up podcasting.
And you've definitely seen Henry on the Duel Instagram, the Duel Facebook. He's the big guy lifting all the weights and stacking dumbbells on top of each other.
That's me.
That's that guy, the guy with the beard. And, I'll reintroduce myself again if you're not familiar with Duel itself, which we'll get into. My name is Brian Galloway, co-founder of Duel alongside my brother Dan, who's not with us today, but he'll be around at some point in the future. Don't worry about that.
Are we getting Dan on here at some point?
We'll get Dan on here. We'll throw Dan around and see if we can get him to talk a little bit. But in the meantime, it's me and Henry. We each have our own unique backgrounds into the fitness world and, why we're into motivation, why we even wanted to start creating this podcast. But all of it really ties together. And, as Henry said, we've been friends for a couple of years now. We met through his brother, Jeff, who I went to school with, and ever since, we kind of throw these ideas back and forth. We talk about food, we talk about motivation, we talk about everything. And he's a huge supporter of Duel, and we're happy to get this started and hope you all enjoy it.
Yeah, so when Brian first told me about Duel, I was kind of like, it's just another clothing company. Everybody wants to start a clothing company, right? But, once you start really delving into it, you kind of get a bigger picture of what Duel's all about. So why don't you kind of give everybody a background about, what Duel is and how you got started?
Yeah, where Duel really started is in college. I'm a graphic designer by schooling, I guess you would call it, and we had to do a thesis project our senior year. And for me, I was right in the middle of my weight loss journey at that point. I mean, I still am. It's going to be a lifestyle, but really getting started, I was probably about 50 pounds down, and just for a little bit, we'll get into it later, but a little bit of backstory, down over 110 pounds at this point. So back then, I was still right in the thick of it, and motivation was huge for me. I was looking to other people to motivate me, inspire me, and I wanted to turn that around and really create something visually that would, create the same kind of impact for somebody else. Take these ideas that I had gathered from so many other places and throw them into one project. So that project was called Strive, and that was really a one-off. It was a bunch of poster series, different things for specifically my thesis, and from that and all the knowledge I took from that, a couple years later, myself and Dan really threw that into, hey, we'd like to create a clothing apparel line, but we'd like it to have some meaning. We don't want it to just be these designs that don't carry any real message or don't, have a bigger meaning behind them. And that's where we came up with Duel, the name itself, courtesy of Dan, and just the idea of always fighting for whatever you might be trying to achieve, whether that's something like this crazy guy Henry I got over here going for his PhD, or if it's something, more along the lines of what myself and Dan have experienced in a big weight loss. Whatever that is, we just want our message to really carry through and, help everybody achieve whatever they're looking to do.
Yeah, so I see here, so you wrote, I told you to give me a little tagline about Duel, or your mantra, your motto, and you wrote back, Duel exists to motivate, inspire, and empower the warriors battling their internal and external struggles, which is something that I think is such a good way to go with not only a company like Duel, but, just a lifestyle and a way to live, because everybody has their demons or their internal or external battles, whether it's weight loss, weight gain, whether you want to, become a lot stronger, or whether you're battling some kind of, psychological conditions that you need to, need that extra oomph. And, you guys come around with Duel, and it's not just, it's not just weightlifting, it's not just bodybuilding, it's a whole lifestyle change and a way to live.
Yeah, and that mission statement that you just read, that's something that we actually Well, a little bit of backstory. Duel actually started in August of 2015, so we just hit the 1 year mark. Actually, it was August 3rd, 2015. So we've just bypassed that, and for the longest time, we really left it kind of open and maybe too general as to what we were trying to achieve. So over this past winter, we really sat down and hammered down a strong mission statement, which we believe in. The one you just read. That's really what we try to carry through in everything we do. Any of the stories we're sharing, any of the images we're sharing, even the motivation behind this podcast. As you said, it's not always physical, it's not always visual changes that you're looking to see. So much of weight loss and even motivation in general, just in my research, it's so much a mindset. It's so much what you're thinking in your own head and how you turn your surroundings into something that you want. And that's the whole. Really, that's Duel in a nutshell in that statement. That we felt it captured everything we were trying to achieve.
Yeah, and I think something like this is important because this type of lifestyle and motivation that you have going on is a lot more, I guess, user friendly for people. We started out in with the bodybuilding with Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that, and that's pretty intimidating for people that don't want to do that but want to get in shape and be healthy. And then, we go from that into now it's CrossFit is the big fad, and that's pretty extreme as well. So, you have these two extremes right after each other, and it's kind of a relief to see something that's not as, gung-ho or 110%, just weightlifting or just extreme working out. It's a lifestyle change, you know what I mean? It's eating, fitness, time management even, and, it's all these things wrapped into one and not just, going to the gym and benching 500 pounds.
Exactly, and that's I mean you definitely agree, Henry. I know because we've talked about it before. But for me and Dan, we're not we're nobody special. We're just guys that took it upon ourselves to really change our, as you said, anything from time management to lifestyle to the way you view certain situations and what you take away from them. It's really there's really nothing unique or special about us. It's just taking those things and throwing them into your day-to-day activities, your day-to-day mindset, and really building towards something. And in our case, it was weight loss and even running races, which we'll get into.
Yeah. But. So speaking of that, let's go into what our goals are for not only the podcast, but for working out and fitness, and then what you have already achieved in your kind of weight loss. Because you mentioned before you lost 110 pounds, and people might have heard that and been like, wow, that's a huge change. But
right.
All right, so first I want to ask you, why did you start the weight loss? Where did it all begin? What was the moment?
That's a lot. There's the short backstory on it is I was overweight pretty much my whole life from a very young age, and I can remember times even around like 13, 14-year-old, somewhere in there, trying to really go and Mom would cook healthier and I tried to eat a little healthier, but it wasn't necessarily for me. It definitely wasn't a lifestyle at that point. I wasn't making any great strides. It's like instead of eating 2 cheeseburgers, I'm eating 1 cheeseburger, but I'm still eating all these fries, things like that. So there was a half effort to kind of change my life at a younger age. And then college, my first year, obviously gained the freshman 15 like a lot of people do, but for me it was a little bit more than that. And then that's when I hit my high. I kind of topped out. And it started with small change. There was just getting sick of it. You can't. Didn't wear really jeans up until that point in college. First pair of jeans was a size 44, and you're not too comfortable. They make your size, but you're not too comfortable in jeans when you're a size 44 waist. It's and being a shorter guy, standing at only 5'6", length becomes an issue and all that kind of stuff. You really don't look the part.
Right. Yeah.
So it was a lot of uncomfort and not being able to do the things I want to do because I'm really into sports, really into athletics. I follow it with a passion, all 4 of the major sports, and I try to play as much as I can. But when you're running around at 286, you're knocking on the door at 300 pounds. It's a lot of weight to carry on a small frame of 5'6".
Yeah, I mean, 286 on 5'6", that's no joke on your bones and your heart.
Right.
Right,
and I felt it for sure, and that was really the kicking off point.
Now, so how did you get into running 5Ks from being 286 pounds?
That one took some while. That took a while. We're myself and Dan started right around the same time on his own. I was away at college and he was still home, but I'd come over the summers and we'd start working out a little bit here and there, and then he kind of stemmed off on his own. Like I said, he'll be on the podcast. We'll get him to talk a little bit, at least a little bit about him. We'll try to force it out of him to, for his personal mindset towards it. But so running, it really became something for me, but it had a lot to do with your brother Jeff, honestly. I met him my third year of college, so at that point, again, it's about the same time as I was working on my thesis, so I was down about 50-something pounds probably at that point, and, as you know, your brother's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Jeff's pretty quick. He's a quick guy. He ran cross country at school, and I just told him, I got into lifting with my other friend, but the cardio wasn't there. I was doing maybe like 15 minutes on the elliptical or different things like that. And obviously, as you said, 286 on a 5'6" frame, that's doing no favors on your heart.
No.
You got to work a little bit of cardio in there to really, get that transformation rolling. Plus, obviously how much you sweat doing cardio and all the other kind of stuff, and how that really benefits fat loss, weight loss, the whole 9 yards. So just talked to him about running. Started off slow on the indoor track that we had, running a little bit here, and it's just challenging myself. Today I'm going to go out and run 5 miles. Was I ready for 5 miles? Probably not. It was a little slow, right, and a little drawn out, a little bit of a struggle. But just going out there and breaking through that barrier, and then from there it just kept rolling and rolling. And me and Dan have been running races probably for about 3 years now. A couple with your brother Jeff, and we just keep striving for better and trying to hit better times on 5Ks, 10Ks. We ran a half marathon last year, so wow. We continue to run, and we got a couple coming up down the pipeline, but that's really been an outlet for us and really feeds that competitive nature that I have. Dan has also, but something to keep alive when you're not necessarily playing sports, even as basic as intramurals in college.
Right.
And then Henry, rolling into what you said washed up athlete when we started. I don't know too much about that. I mean, we were just hanging out last week, and you smoked everybody on some sprints on the beach, including your brother Jeff, who ran cross country. And you're sitting at a few more pounds than him, and right around the same height. So, what really got you into it? I mean, yours wasn't a weight loss.
No,
yours wasn't me. You weren't a big kid. Starting out.
And I wasn't really into athletics, I think, until I got to college and started playing rugby. I played high school football for 2 years. I ran track. I did high jump. But I was never really into it. You know what I mean? Like, I did it. I did the practices. I went to the meets. I went to the games. But it wasn't something that I was really passionate about. Right. And, going into college, I was maybe, 185, 86 pounds. So I wasn't huge. But, I had some decent muscle on me.
Right.
So sophomore year, I actually started dating this girl whose brother played on the William Patterson rugby team. And he was like, dude, you should just come out and play. Because I was pretty athletic. I was fast, and I was pretty athletic. So I actually went to a practice, and I hated it. So I didn't go back that whole year, and I regretted it so much after that. So I go back the next year. And really that, between that year and the next year I started playing rugby again, is when I started lifting. My mom actually got me this book. It was 101 workouts. I showed you the book the last time you were down. Yeah. So I opened up the book,
Bible of
because
sorts.
I didn't really have any idea what I was doing. I mean, I kind of knew from high school football. We did some benching and some squatting, but it wasn't like, I was like the super lifter that knew what I was doing. And really, it's just a lot of reading and research, and I kind of figured out what worked for my body. And I actually came home the next year, before I started playing rugby for the second time, about 15 pounds heavier. So I was hovering about 197, 200 pounds.
In a good way.
And actually, I was huge at that point. And actually, my dad told my uncle he thought I was doing steroids. So he had been asking me if I was doing steroids. And I'm like, no, I just started lifting and eating right. You know what I mean? It's not like, it wasn't like this huge, revelation. It was just eating a lot and lifting a lot. So, and then that's the year I really fell in love with it, and I started playing rugby, and we did really well, and it was just such a great experience for me. And I just, I'm so glad that I made that one change that summer that decided really my the next, 10 years of my life, I guess.
Right, and obviously you're real into it now. As I said, you're still smoking us on the beach, and you're talking about getting back into rugby.
Yeah, hopefully.
Right down there.
I mean, there's a team in Raleigh by me, so hopefully, go to practices, maybe go to some games. It's gonna be hard, trying to balance, school and rugby, and
Right.
But hopefully make some time for it. But in the end, if I don't get to play, I'm still working out, lifting, running, still doing all that. So
Right, of course. And washed up athlete, I think we can officially debunk at this point. Just if you're not officially on a team anymore, I don't know if that counts as washed up, but I think you still got it in you.
That's funny.
So that's Henry. You've heard about Duel pretty much from the beginning. It was pretty much me, Dan Heavy, and then more and more we kept talking about it more and getting you involved. And obviously you're on the Instagram more. You really helped both of us come along in our lifting as well. And it just kind of shows. I like what you bring to the story as well, because you're not somebody that was overweight or had these other motives. Kind of, they're two different types of motivation that me and Dan had and that you had, and really building them into. People come from all different types of backgrounds and they have all different types of goals, and really bringing that dual message to span all of those is something that we want to emphasize, and we want all you to understand. And just because you weren't a big kid and you're not trying to lose weight doesn't mean if you're a smaller kid and you want to gain weight, eat a lot, don't take steroids, obviously. Don't go scaring your dad and your uncle. Just start eating more and lifting more, and go with it from there. But that's that's a little bit about us and what we wanted to do, and our backstories and what brought us together into Duel. And we'll we talked about having Dan on. We plan on having Jeff on. We'll go deeper into Henry's journey as well as mine, and how they all tie together in terms of mindset and different things down the line. But
all right, let's take 5 here. A word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Duel is your source for motivational apparel. Head on over to www.duelthreads.com today. Listeners of the podcast can get 10% off their entire order. Simply go to checkout and enter discount code Duel Talk. That's discount code Duel Talk for 10% off your entire order. Head on over to www.duelthreads.com today. All right, and we're back, and we want to talk a little bit about, obviously, what you're listening to as a podcast, and it's Duel Talk, and kind of, we touched on, we wanted to do the podcast and get rolling with it, but the real reason behind and what we see it becoming is really to motivate and educate beyond, what we're doing. Our apparel can reach so many people and carry inspiring messages and, have that kind of effect, but this podcast allows us the greater opportunity to kind of explain things through, talk more in depth, and have more relationship with you guys on different things. And motivation and education are really going to be our two goals. And going forward, motivation, that's a lot of things to a lot of people. I think Henry would agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's different person to person. It's how you perceive things. It's, sports might inspire somebody, while a story of, cultural good or, coming from some hard time is really what's going to motivate others. And with the motivation, I talked about it before, but when I was working on Strive in college and my, my thesis project, I was listening to motivational speakers such as Eric Thomas, and then, looking at other stories of sports stars who, had less than modest starts and made it all the way to the professional leagues and succeeded at a high level. So not only just talking about us and trying to use our stories to motivate you, but what motivates us, and carrying things from there.
Yeah, I think for me, it's motivation is kind of a different mindset. I think instead of it being I look up to this person so that they motivate me, it's more about myself and how I want to make myself better than I was yesterday. It's not
Right.
I don't want to compare myself to other people. I just want to be a better me. And, I just love going to the gym in the morning and being able to put my headphones in, not talk to anybody, just kind of zone out for an hour and a half and just be me for that period of time. I don't have to worry about school, family, my dog. I can just, let everything go, be me for an hour and a half. And that's really what keeps me motivated, because it's not just the lifting, it's stress relief. It's kind of my own personal, psychological reboot.
Right, and I think I like what you said about, being better than you were yesterday. I think that's important for so many people. It probably goes across both of, anybody who's trying to achieve anything, but I think a lot of times it's very prominent in weight loss. It's probably pretty prominent in a lot of aspects. People tend to look at, there's always the phrase that people say, don't judge me at the chapter you walked in on, or don't judge someone's chapter 20 against your chapter 1. And I think that's very important. People, there might be people out there listening that are trying to lose weight. Maybe they've lost 3 pounds so far, and they hear me talking about losing 110. I'm very honest about how long it took me to do this whole thing. I mean, I'm going on year 5 at least of really, working towards this and doing this, and it's gonna be my whole life. It's gonna be a lifestyle change that's gonna carry with me forever. I mean, it's very easy to slip and start eating, the way that maybe I was, or get complacent and stop going to the gym 6 days a week, different things like that. I even texted you this morning. I mean, I said rest day or back day, and very promptly responded with back day. So I got to the gym and I hit back today. So it's counting on people to hold you accountable as well.
I like that. Yeah, definitely.
But
I think it's hard to do it by yourself every single day. So if you have one person that you can just talk to, and I have one kid that comes to the gym with me at ECU every once in a while, and it's when he comes, it's like a boost. I can I feel like I can lift more. I feel strong because I'm with him and we're talking about whatever at the gym and lifting weight, and it's just a cool experience to be motivated by someone else. You send a text message. What are you doing today? Back day.
Right.
Let's do it. Then you get all amped up.
Right,
so,
exactly.
It's always good to have that,
Exactly.
Somebody or a couple people that are within your realm of fitness and they want to keep you motivated.
And I love the motivation that even goes on Instagram between people that haven't even met. There's a lot of bonding that goes on the Duel Instagram, and even just the people that we follow on different pages and things like that. People just motivating each other, telling them how great they're looking, really slimming down, or if they're trying, you're getting bigger, like definitely see more definition, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, motivation's huge for me. It really helped me. Like you said, it's not always looking at somebody else. I'm a big believer in, being better than you were yesterday. Life happens too. Maybe you had a birthday party the day before or something else, or, we were just down, your way this past weekend, it was a little more food than maybe we're used to for 2-3 days there, but it's not about that. It's about enjoying life, and then you come back and you get heavy on the grind and you go back to doing what you were doing. And because I think that's very important too. Motivation's huge, but work life, they say work life balance, but it's also workout and life balance at the same time. Fitness life balance. It goes both ways. You don't want to sacrifice one thing completely for the other. And then I guess I mentioned educate. Education is really a bigger part. And Henry, you know a lot more than I when it comes to lifting, diet, and all that. I lean on you pretty heavily for that kind of stuff, texting you all the time, different things, and how I should eat better and all that. So you want to kind of jump into what we're going to kind of address education-wise?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's and a master's in biology, and they're pretty general, but something I can kind of take with me to the next step about adding it to weightlifting and fitness and weight loss. So something I was really big on was kind of lifting techniques and how the body works. It's basically you're just a big lever. Every body part of you is a lever. So whatever way you can use your levers to lift more weight and be healthier is definitely a plus. Diet. So I really want to prod this out of you, and I hope I can get it out, but I want the cheeseburger story with the honey mustard.
So there was always this steakhouse that it didn't really matter the occasion, whether it was my birthday, when I graduated high school, or really anything. That'd always be the restaurant I would pick. It was Charlie Brown's Steakhouse. I'm not sure if you guys even have those down there, or how nationwide they are or not. The one the one by my house went out of business, probably for a good reason. I probably ate them out of business at one point, but anyway, I'd always get the same thing. I'd always get a big cheeseburger with French fries, and there would always be the salad bar included. As long as you went for dinner, which is when we always went.
Right.
So I'd go up there, walking around, get my salad, it's the healthy part of my meal, whatever. Well, I was grabbing, iceberg lettuce, throwing a ton of cheese on it, some hard-boiled cut-up eggs, tons of croutons, so you couldn't see the lettuce anymore. Is there a salad underneath there or not? Or is it just a pile of dressing and cheese and croutons at this point? You can't tell. So when I'm talking about a salad, I'm talking about like a heaping mountain. Like, you got to imagine like a mountain on a plate. Like this.
Now this is in the middle of Big Bry stage, right?
This is right in the thick of it. I'm making no effort at this point. This is, probably like 18, 19-year-old Brian, or even younger, jumping into 16, 17, but not at college at this point. Really just, making those half efforts, for a month or two to kind of be healthier, but really nothing going on. So, this isn't the key to weight loss. This is what got me to that point where it was required. and when I'm talking mountain of salad, this is the king. This is the king. This is the salads, end all salads that I got right here. And walking back, plow through that real quick, get that through. There's some bread on the side. You gotta have bread at a salad bar and everything like that. It goes hand in hand, right? So doing that, and then the burger comes out, and I'd always get the burger with a side of honey mustard. I mean, I liked it. I'd put my fries in it, whatever. Nothing special. But ketchup was always my go-to. Put ketchup on the burger, cut it in half, start rolling. I'm mowing through. But to the point where I couldn't eat anymore. I'd just eat and eat and eat until it was becoming, like, physically painful. Like, there was no... Jeff used to talk to me about it all the time. He's like, there's a point where I, like, know I'm going to start getting uncomfortable, so I stop eating. I didn't possess that ability. Like, I felt it, but I kept going and pushing through. It's like I was running a marathon or something like that. It was... definitely the wrong mindset to have, and it's really no surprise of how I got as big as I got. So the way the honey mustard really plays in is when I would get to that point, I would have whatever chunk of burger that I had left, I'd want to finish it for whatever reason in my head. Like I had to finish it. I had to go for it. So I'd dip the burger in the honey mustard cup just to help it get down. I don't know why, but the honey mustard something triggered the taste.
Just got it down quicker.
Taste bud, it just oiled it up and slid it right down the hatch, and that was it.
And you know what? I guarantee you, as funny of a story as it is, and how much it relates to what we're trying to do, I'm sure you're not the only person that has some kind of demon like that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because this isn't just a localized problem. This is something that, people all across the world are dealing with, and they want to change it. And stories like these are something that, you can say, I was there, I did that.
Right.
And now look at where I am, and you can do it too. And that's really what I think is awesome about what we're trying to do.
Right. That's what I love about it too. It's like we said before, really, it's not about being better than anybody or having a better start than anybody. You've gone through all the same problems that anybody that's been 100+ pounds overweight has gone through, eating this, eating that, having really no holds barred on what you're willing to eat. There's stories that I'm sure we'll tell down the line in future podcasts of having cake and things for breakfast, just cake, literally nothing else. And, as I said, we'll get into that more. And Dan's got a real funny story about that when we have that on here. So
I'm looking forward
we'll get into that. Yeah, definitely look forward to that.
But in order to, be healthy and do all this fitness stuff, you need to stay injury-free.
Yes,
and
definitely.
That's something that is super important. And I think some parts of this podcast we want to go into, not really technique on lifting, but just some tips and tricks that can get you so you're not out of the gym. Because if you hurt yourself, you're out of the gym, you're not making any progress. And down the line, we're going to have on my friend Jenna, who is in PT school right now. And she loves everything about fitness, and she does knees and shoulders. So She knows all about, the best and the worst lifts and what to do and what not to do. So we're going to have her on, have her talk about some definite ways to stay healthy and injury-free, because that's the best way to kill your workout.
And I think that's great to go into, because, we won't get too into it deep right now, but when I first started going into it, there's certain exercises that work out certain muscle groups that are putting more strains on your joints or different things like that, where it's not necessary to do that. You can do a different movement. It's going to hit the same muscle group. It's going to give you the same benefits without putting all that extra stress on your joints. So we're looking forward definitely to having Jenna on here and, building some proper and, best practice lifting techniques for everybody.
Absolutely. So, alongside that is, I think a segment of this we talked about, we want to have journal articles that have come out.
Right.
We can, I'm in the sciences, so I've been reading journal articles for, how many years now, and I feel like I'm pretty good at picking out what's good and what's not good. So something we want to get into, maybe, a new boost to your bench press, or a different way to do squats that might help you, gain muscle and power. So that's something that we also have talked about going into for a little segment in each podcast.
Definitely. We've jumped into food too. Obviously we talked about food a little bit, but, kind of what Henry goes through eating, and I know he's very happy right now because it's a cheat day, so he gets to indulge a little bit, and he's always looking forward to that as we're recording on a Sunday. And, kind of best practices for food. We talked on it briefly. For me, it was different things of eating smaller throughout the day. And, it really changed throughout my journey of where I started, when I was just losing, I was at 5 to 10 pounds down at any point. Now I'm down 110 pounds, and I'm looking to do this with my body and different things. So we want to work into that. By no means we're experts in that, but we can talk about what works for us and some healthy alternatives to some of your, favorite cheat foods or whatever you would want to call them.
And I'm glad that you mentioned what works for us, because something I found is not everything works for everybody. You know what I mean? Not everybody has the one recipe, the one mechanism to say, okay, you do this, you're going to get fit. You do this, you're going to get jacked. Every person's different. And I've been developing this, kind of workout routine and diet for a long time. It's not like just I woke up and I was like, oh, my body likes this. It doesn't like this. I've recently found out that my body doesn't really like milk that much. Whenever I drink it, I break out. My stomach hurts. I can't get to the gym. I can't get a good workout in. So I cut it out of my diet. And it's just little changes like that make your personalized weight loss or weight gain, whatever you want, kind of unique to you.
Right. And I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's not as as much as the milk, but I would different things. People always say you should drink like a couple, fruit juices, natural fruit juices, different things like that, which are, I'm all for that and everything, but some of them give me heartburn and other things, and it slows me down. Same thing, I'll wake up the next morning and I'll just feel it in my chest, and it affects my run or it affects my lift. It's just, like you said, and so many people always ask, how'd you start, or what'd you eat to lose weight? Coming from my perspective, when they're asking me, or what would you do? It's totally different, like you said, for everybody. It's something you develop over time. There's obviously tips and tricks, and you could take different things from other people and how they started losing their weight. But at the end of the day, it's always catering what you're doing to what your body's able to handle and what it works best on. Because food is really fuel at the end of the day that's going to help you work as good or as bad as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, going into the kind of lifting side to it, every body is different when it comes to lifting and how many days a week you work out. I've been on this 7-day workout routine for, maybe a year and a half now, and I feel fine because not only do I give my body the essential nutrients that it needs, but I have a 4-day workout rotation, so I don't really ever feel that sore. One day will be back. I just do back one day, and, the next day will be chest, then legs, then arms. So it's not like I'm doing back and by 3 days a week. You know what I mean? It's something that I split up, and I'm not saying this is going to work for everybody, but, this might work for some people. It might not. But I feel with the 4-day rotation, I can work out as hard as I can on those days and then not feel sore for the next time I do that same body part.
Right. And just speaking from experience of trying out your plan and, kind of trying to work into those 4 muscle groups essentially and rotating through them. I still take a rest day every once in a while, but I think going through that, I noticed definitely I'm less sore, I'm lifting more. You also have the rotation of 12, 10, 8, 6 rep weeks, and I've been following that for a little while, getting back into it with the injuries a little bit. People that follow Duel know I had a broken finger along with a torn tendon, and now I'm finally healed back from that. But I did miss a solid 2 to 3 months of lifting any kind of significant weight that I couldn't use with, handles or hand wraps or anything, and much to my doctor's discouragement, but it's hard to keep me away sometimes. But getting back into it now, hitting those 12, 8, 10, 6 rep weeks again, definitely feel it. I see the numbers going up, and it's just about trying out what works, like you said, and rolling through with that, and building.
Yeah, I think just for a quick clarification on what this kind of set routine. I mean, I didn't make this up. This is something that's been around for ages. But 1 week or 1 4-day rotation, you do everything is 4 sets of 12 reps. So you do that twice. So that'll be 8 days of full 4 sets of 12 reps. Then the next set of 2 4-day rotations, you do 10 reps of 4 sets.
Right.
Then you keep going up in weight. Next 8 days is 8 reps, 4 sets, go up in weight.
Right.
Then the next 8 days is your heavy days, and that's going to be 6 reps. So
sets, right.
Once you do all that, you're kind of train your body to lift more weight. Then you go back to the reps of 12, and then you try and do maybe 5 or 10 more pounds than you did the first set.
Right.
So it's kind of up in that weight gradually instead of trying to do it all at once.
Right. And doing that before I hurt my finger, I noticed it, and I remember talking to you and telling you what my lifts were and the numbers, and I really had great experience with it. Again, like we said, it's going to work for some people. It's not going to work for others. It works for Henry, obviously. If you've ever seen him on Instagram, you could tell. And, before I had the injury, which, hopefully Jenna will help us all cut down on our injuries going forward.
Yeah.
I was pleased with what I saw, and I'm jumping back into it now again, and I'm excited. So I guess that's our next segment. So we're gonna have a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with some more Duel Talk. Make sure to follow Duel on all of our social media channels at Duel Threads on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
All right, welcome back to Warriors, and this will be the last segment of the podcast today. I think something we wanted to go into was the future of Duel and kind of the future of Duel Talk. So Brian, why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of a outro?
Yeah, so I mentioned, Duel in the beginning, kind of our beginnings. August 3rd, 2015 is when we really kicked it off, social media about a month before just to kind of build it up and, be able to interact with some of you all, that are coming from the Instagram, Facebook side of things. Met a lot of great people through that, a lot of great supporters through there, and looking to keep growing that every single day. Coming down the pipeline, it's more of the same stuff. It's new designs. It's, starting this podcast and having this other avenue of being able to reach you guys and interact with all of you, and that's something we want to have from you all too. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter. Not that we have the biggest following on Twitter, but reach out to us and let us know what you want to see coming up on Duel Talk, or even with Duel in general, if you want to see this kind of item versus that kind of item. We've done that sort of thing in the past, and it's really built out a lot of our snapbacks or our tank tops, and it's not your typical business in that we're just out there trying to get money. Like I work a day job, Dan works a day job. This isn't our means of living. This is a passion. This is us wanting to motivate and touch and inspire people. So we want to hear what you guys want, and then what we're able to create and make our own and really get out there to you all. So that's really our goal going forward, alongside our mission statement that we mentioned earlier in the podcast of just motivating, inspiring, empowering. We call you guys the warriors that are battling their internal and external struggles. That's, at the end of the day, that's our goal. Sales are what they are. Instagram followers are what they are. We're not going to be buying Instagram followers and doing anything like that. That's not what we're out there for. It's not for the appearance. It's really, truly about the motivation and the positivity behind it.
Yeah, I think something that's interesting is Duel's kind of a reflection of your followers and, what they kind of represent. It's not, you're not projecting your and Dan's story onto this. You're not trying to force it onto people. It's more of interaction with the Duel Warriors, as you call them, and it's really Duel's a reflection of them. It's not a reflection of you. Right,
and that's always been our goal. And oddly enough, and funny enough, this is the first time anyone that's followed Duel on any type of social media is hearing my voice. Let alone they still haven't heard Dan's. They haven't heard yours, and you've been on how many pictures that we have on our page and everything like that. So it's never really been about us. We were hesitant to even throw our journeys into it at the beginning, but just whatever anybody can take from what me and him, and now you and any of the warriors that we share on our page, anybody that can take anything from any of our stories or their stories, just icing on the cake, really, at that point.
All right, so where can everybody follow you on Facebook and Instagram and all that?
It's going to be at Duel Threads for everything. Twitter's at Duel Threads. Facebook's facebook.com/Duel Threads. Instagram at Duel Threads. Those are really our three main channels, and if you're not familiar, not following us, what you can kind of expect on there is going to be, different motivational images. Obviously when we have new products, different things, we're going to be promoting that. We'll do contest giveaways from time to time. We'll have discounts at special times throughout the year, and, featuring our warriors, featuring Henry lifting, 140-pound dumbbells and different things like that, and just having fun with it. Because it's like Henry said too, I really appreciate that review. It's never been about ego for us. It's never been about projecting ourselves as some kind of, I don't know, super duo or something like that. It's never been about that. It's always been about the positivity and the motivation, and whatever we can get, kind of positivity we can get out there through our designs, which design's my passion. Obviously, it's what I do with my day job and everything. It's what I've been doing for 10 years, and that's just our ultimate goal. And always our designs are, how is this going to inspire somebody? If not, we're not releasing it. Does this have a positive message behind it? If not, we're not going to release it.
Right. Yeah.
That's how it's always been. That's how it's going to continue to be. It's, I can make a shirt about, bacon and donuts with have them on like a barbell or something like that, but that doesn't portray anything to me. It doesn't. That doesn't drive. It doesn't motivate. It doesn't inspire. It's not about following the trends or anything like that, and it never will be, in all honesty.
So speaking of trends, what is something that you see at the gym that makes you cringe?
Oh gosh, there's There's a few things, and we want to kind of. This is kind of going to be like our gym banter segment. Me and Henry have talked about this before. We want to go through this and just kind of talk. It's not ever about bashing anybody.
No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be malicious or
Right.
be mean or degrade somebody. But there's just always these things that you notice at the gym that's just like, oh God, why are you doing that?
Right. That's never our intent. And I guess for me, it's. And I know on social media they've definitely been called this before, but they're known as the hoarders. I don't know if you've heard them referred to.
No,
that,
I have not.
So the hoarders are the people, that there's supersetting and then there's hoarders. So a guy might be doing, I'm trying to think of a good example, but maybe he's doing skull crushers with one weighted barbell, but he needs a higher weight for his close grip, close dumbbell chest press or something like that. He's not going to use the same weight. So now he's got one weighted barbell taken up, and now he's got two more dumbbells next to him. And maybe he's throwing a third one in there, and he's got more.
Okay.
And you don't encounter them all the time, but when you encounter them, it's kind of rough because, are you done with the 30s? No, I'm using them, as he picks up his 50-pound weighted barbell to do some skull crushers.
Right.
And then picks up his, whatever other dumbbells he has to do some bicep curls. Then he gets to the 30s. It's like, I'm trying to, get my workout in here, man. I appreciate you super saying you're working hard, but the hoarders kind of get to me sometimes.
The hoarders. I've never heard of that. That's good.
Some gyms you go to, it's, some of them are smaller spaces. Sometimes they get a little crowded, and, weights are at a premium. You can only be so creative sometimes. So the hoarders are definitely mine.
Yeah.
What about you? What are the types that kind of get to you?
I love seeing the face masks that limit your respiration in the gym.
The training mask?
Yes, I love it, especially when you're doing benches. And it's funny because I've actually talked to somebody that he works in Colorado and he does aerobic respiration in athletes. And I think he said that altitude training only helps your body for about 24 hours after you do it. Then after that, It's like it doesn't even matter anymore. So what would be good is I'm going to look up some articles on that for next time, and we'll go into that a little bit deeper because I want to know the truth behind it.
And full transparency, Dan does have one. He used it a couple times.
No.
Yeah, he does. But see, you don't even know that he has it. That's how few times he's used it. So he does have one. I don't know how much he does. He doesn't use it much anymore. We work out together on and off just because I don't live at home anymore, and he's still there. But he got roped in, and he used it a little bit. And I don't know that he saw any great strides from it, and clearly it never really stuck because he doesn't use it any longer. But
all right, I think that's something that would be good to kind of go into, see if it really does do anything or not.
So Training Mask won't be sponsoring the Duel Talk podcast anytime soon, I don't think.
I don't think so. So next time, if you guys really want to know if the Training Mask does help or doesn't help, tune in, definitely.
We'll have to bring that in for sure.
Yeah.
Otherwise, at the gym, it's just like you said. Gym's always a release. There's nothing like it. I've heard other people call it too, whether it's on Instagram or in person. People that I know, it's almost like a therapy session for so many people. It's like you said. You wake up in the morning, you throw your headphones in there, you get your pre-workout, and you bike to the gym. You do your thing, and it's a release. You're not for you specifically, like you said. You're not thinking about school. You're not thinking about taking care of this, taking care of that. It's that one spot in the day where it's you, and you've told me this before, it's you versus the weights, and that's it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah,
that's what it's all about. So that was the first episode of Duel Talk. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully you'll come back for the second one, if not to find out about the training cast, but to hear our voices.
Definitely come back for the Training Mask.
Come back for the Training Mask. That's going to be good, and we can debunk that and maybe save you some money, or maybe you'll choose to indulge. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Way.
I mean, it might work.
We'll see what the research tells us.
All right.
So you got to tune in next time for that.
Yep, we'll see you later.
That's a wrap on Duel Talk this week with Brian Galloway and Henry Robb. We thank you for listening. Be sure to check out www.duelthreads.com today.
Baby, I know I'm a beast, like I be howling at the moon.